Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Mike Chen. It is my pleasure to be your host. In the next 40 minutes, I'd like to share with you on the importance of business backup strategies and how to upgrade your backup solutions at a very little cost to meet common challenges. Things you might have seen before and things you might not have. Let's jump right in. This year, everyone has been busy shifting to remote work due to coronavirus. And because of this shift, cybercrime organizations are seeing more opportunities. According to Verizon, 80% of security incidents are caused by phishing attacks, and through email is the most common way for it to be delivered. The recent hacks on major US oil pipelines and ransomware attacks is another good example. Besides ransomware and cybercrime, many users just don't have a good and solid backup plan in place. IT leaders in the UK and US have reported that there's a 40% increase in human error tampering the data. Here's a good example. Back in June, American cloud computing company called Fastly. Several of its major websites went down for a few hours due to a simple configuration error, a human error. So from the facts we have collected, it's easy to see why it is so important to have solid backup solutions so that you can have complete protections from cyber attacks, human errors, hardware failures, and even disasters. Data is created at the edge, the client. So the first step is to pull the data from the edge to the NAS. We will demonstrate this through some of the very common scenarios. First scenario, endpoint and virtual machine protections by Active Backup for Business that centralize all backups for PCs, servers, and virtual machines. We'll call this package ABB for short. Second scenario, SaaS data protections by Active Backup for Microsoft 365 and Active Backup for Google Workplace. We'll call these two packages ABM and ABG. M for Microsoft 365 and G for Google Workplace. Lastly, after all the data has been pulled into the NAS, we have NAS protections by Hybrid Backup and Snapshot Replication that backs up the data offsite for disaster recovery purposes. First scenario, let's look at endpoint and virtual machine protections and how Synology solution Active Backup for Business helps to protect your PCs, laptops, servers, and virtual machines. Active Backup for Business, in a nutshell, is a built-in centralized backup package in Synology NAS applications. It supports multi-platform and devices, centralizes all backup tasks on a single console, incorporates global deduplication technologies, provides multiple data restoration methods, and most importantly, requires no licensing fee. Just imagine how much you can save by not having to pay backup license fee for each of the PC you have. It can be tremendous. To let you better understand the real-life application, let's first look at one of our customers, SHISEIDO. SHISEIDO is a Japanese cosmetic company that offers high-quality skincare products. These were their common backup challenges. First one, lack of storage efficiency. The daily change data can reach up to 600 gigabytes, especially when there are over 500 employees. Without proper backup tools in place, saving daily data alone can be a very challenging task. Secondly, ransomware. Several of their employees' PC were infected in 2017. Afterwards, the introduced backup software was expensive and not centralized. Next to the cost, it is a nightmare for the IT to see each PC installed with different backup software. With these challenges, I now would like to walk you through step by step to show you how easily this can be solved through Active Backup for Business. Most importantly, no licensing fee is required. As you can see from the deployment topology, SHISEIDO's VMware servers and employees' endpoints, including PCs and laptops, are properly backed up onto two Synology servers via Active Backup for Business. Active Backup for Business enables centralized and cross-platform backup, so you can back up PCs, virtual machines, all onto the same NAS. Moreover, with global deduplication and change block tracking, SHISEIDO is able to save over 50% of the storage space. Immediately, they have lowered their cost to half. Just how exactly are these milestones achieved? Let me walk you through. As mentioned, for cross-platform backup, they're utilizing ABB to back up the following, all at the same time. Multiple PCs running Windows 7 and onwards. Windows Server running Server 2000A, R2 version, up to Windows Server 2019. File servers that supports the SMB and rsync protocols. Linux server for bare metal backup. And lastly, virtual machines running on VMware vSphere 5.0 and onwards, and Hyper-V 2016 and 2019. Pretty much anything on your network. I can guarantee you that ABB is able to pull the data into the NAS. Now, the amount of data is not going to be light. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. Luckily, we have decades of experience on data storage, so we have just the right technology to optimize the load. The first one is called change block tracking. ABB integrates Microsoft Volume Shadow Copy Service to ensure data consistency and leverages change block tracking, CBT, to perform fast forever incremental backup. The first backup will be full backup. Afterwards, all of your backup will only be the difference. Everything is incremental, and only the change blocks are backed up. There is more. After creating so many backup tasks, you will eventually have a lot of duplicated data. Here, I introduce to you our second technology, global deduplication. This technology can help you save a lot of backup capacity, and in terms of business, saving more capacity means saving more on your cost. If duplication means to duplicate, then deduplication means the opposite. With global deduplication, ABB can filter out the same blocks of backup files across devices, so all files will be compared first, then only one block will be transferred. Here's a good example. Say if you want to back up 10 PCs and 10 virtual machines that use the same Windows operating system. How many Windows operating systems will be backed up? Without deduplication, it'll be 20 Windows operating systems. That is just silly and not smart. But with global deduplication, only one copy will be backed up. So let me sum up. With the change block tracking, CBT, and global deduplication in active backup for business, your storage efficiency is at its max. After understanding how active backup for business can improve storage and backup efficiency, let's look at it from management's angles. Here, we will use the case study of our good customer, Otsuka Indonesia, a medicine and nutritional maker with over 1,500 employees. They were faced with 3 backup challenges. IT team had a difficult time deploying backup tasks to all of their employees' devices, 1,500 devices. They had multiple industrial PCs at their factories and are all using different backup software. No centralized management system and costly licensing fees. Lastly, lack of data recovery options. For them, having a consistent and reliable backup is critical. The company previously backed up 14 virtual machines using legacy backup software. It all went really well until they had to upgrade the virtual machines. They later discovered the backup software has become incompatible. My God, what a nightmare. They had no choice but to seek for a better solution. As we can see from the deployment topology, in the production factory site 1, 1 physical server, 14 virtual machines, and numbers of industrial PCs were backed up using active backup for business to a Synology SA3600. After deploying Active Backup for Business, Otsuka Indonesia was able to mass deploy backup tasks to different departments easily, streamlining IT management process. Moreover, IT team is able to perform virtual machine restorations twice as fast. On top of it, global deduplication reduces the backup from 22.55 terabytes to 2.9 terabytes, amazingly over 85% of reduction. Now, let's look at specifically how Otsuka Indonesia streamlined IT management. With template features and Active Backup for Business, IT managers can easily create templates, configure the privilege and policy to the user groups, and have the templates deployed to different departments accordingly. So you don't need to worry about having to back out 10 or 100 PCs. The effort is the same. Each user just needs to have ABB Desktop Agent installed on the PC and enter the server IP address and login credentials. Then, the backup task will automatically start running according to the templates configured by the IT admins. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Let's look at how ABB works in real time. This is the ABB dashboard. In the overview, you can see the devices being protected, the backup schedule, the event logs, and storage status. Where you can see by leveraging global deduplication feature, over 100 gigabytes of data is saved from the original backup file, ended up using around 77 gigabytes of storage space. Say if I want to back up my own PC, simply go to the PC tab, click Task List and the Create button, select your device, and create a backup task. Moreover, as mentioned previously, for mass deployment, you create a template by selecting the Setting tabs. IT managers can create different templates for different types of users. You can see there are different attributes such as the user type, platform, assigned device type, backup destination, and many more. By clicking Create Template, configure template setting by entering name and selecting the user groups. Confirm the source type and data compression and encryption preferences. Choose backup destination accordingly and configure backup schedule and retention policy. Your template is then created. After confirming the setting and the selected users, devices will be backed up according to the configuration and schedule. Now, we come to restorations. If, for some unfortunate events that your PC is infected by ransomware, we can use the bare metal restoration for ABB to return your PC to the last healthy state. Everything from the configurations, applications, data, and file will be completely restored. The ABB Recovery Media Creator allows you to create the boot image in USB or ISO format. Simply plug the USB with the boot image, access BIOS on the PC, and select USB under the Boot tab. You will then be guided by the ABB Recovery Wizards. Finally, click Restart and you're good to go. 100% ransomware free. Other than bare metal restoration, ABB also has a self-restore portal for single file recovery. ABB also provides several other types of restoration options. The next one will be instant restorations to virtual machines. The production server running VMware or Hyper-V is regularly backed up to the Synology backup server using ABB. When there is a damage to the virtual machine on the production server, by selecting the Instant Restoration feature, the whole server will boot directly from the backup image on the Synology backup server. The virtual machine's backup image will be mounted via the NFS protocol. Once everything is fixed, with the power of vCenter, the virtual machine can be lively migrated back to the production server without any downtime. If vCenter is not installed, don't worry. You can still migrate the virtual machine back offline. The last restoration option will be full restoration to virtual machines. It simply transfers the full backup of the virtual machines with full disk I/O performance to the original host server. Last but not the least, the subject that concerns most of the companies is the cost. Let's look at the cost of implementing the solution. Suppose we have a company with 500 employees, 10 physical servers, and 10 virtual machines. Stretch the timeline to 3 years and compare the total cost. Just the licenses, not even including the hardware. Brace yourself, as you're about to see some big differences ahead. For physical backups, with any brands of backup solutions will cost over $120,000 just for the PC and nearly $18,000 to back up the servers, whereas it is to do so with ABB. Additionally, if you look at virtual machine backups, it will cost over $18,000 to back up the virtual machines. Again, with ABB, there's no licensing cost. So, for the company of this size, we have easily helped saving their budget for more than $160,000, and that is per year. Now we have completed our sharing with endpoint protections. We will move to our next scenario, SaaS data protection. In this chapter, we will look at how our clients utilize Synology solution to protect data stored on Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. With the Active Backup for Business Suite, there are a total of 3 packages. The first one we've just gone through is the ABB, and now we will go through ABM and ABG. Active Backup for Microsoft 365 and Active Backup for Google Workspace literally are to protect SaaS data stored on both cloud providers. Both ABM and ABG comes with similar attributes, including global deduplication, self-restoration portals, and most important one, again, no licensing fee required. To let you better understand the real-life application of ABM and ABG, the first case we would like to share is the Tredu College, hosting over 18,000 students and 1,000 staff members across its campus. They suffer from several IT hurdles. The massive domain system and the number of accounts hosted is very complex. Let's see how we can slide Synology into their current setup and immediately improve their backup and their cost. As we can see from the deployment topology, with close to 20,000 user accounts, they have over 34,000 drive, contact, and calendar, and in excess of 68,000 mailboxes and over 11,000 SharePoints. My God, this is a giant. But all these are now backed up to a single Synology rack unit, the SA3600. In case of any mistakes or accidents, Active Backup Restoration Portal allows IT staff or users to retrieve data very easily. After deploying Active Backup for Microsoft 365, Tredu College claims that the first backup was cut down by 7 terabytes, achieving 46% saving on storage through global deduplication. Moreover, the restoration portal allows employees to perform data restorations from SaaS very easily. Ultimately, the solution is cost-saving and future-proof. You can just add more Synology units as you expand, and the more you add, the more cost is saved. In addition to the 2 points mentioned earlier, Synology Active Backup can help you save your IT budget in terms of storage space. We all know that backup data will need to be archived for a long time, which means large amounts of storage space is needed. When there are duplicate data on your SaaS service, such as personal and team drives, emails, attachments, or duplicate files in your address book, Active Backup will detect and deduplicate through global deduplication. For example, just like the icons on the screen, File A exists in 3 user data at the same time. The software algorithm filters out duplicated files to achieve maximum savings of storage space. As for cost, Again, what cost? Both ABM and ABG are also license-free. Regardless how many accounts you like to backup, as long as you have available storage on your rack or your desktop NAS, you can backup unlimited accounts. Furthermore, there is no need to spend precious time evaluating software and hardware integrations. You know it's going to work since the backup solution is already integrated to our system. The only cost you will have will be for the hardware cost, and that is one-time cost. Regarding data recovery, both employees and admins can easily restore data from the restoration portal, no matter it's mailboxes, email folders, emails, SharePoint sites, or email attachments. The portal allows users to perform granular restoration and recovery. Moreover, when it comes to searching, the content search feature allows you to filter out any email, contact, or calendar that contains search keywords. Preview feature is also available before restoring. Lastly, emails, contacts, and calendars can be exported in the EML, CSV, and ISC format, while draft data and email attachments can be exported in Office file formats. Let's take a look at the demo for SaaS data backup and restoration. First, the overview. We can see the numbers of protected services, backup schedule, event logs, service usage, and the transfer size, just like the active backup for business dashboard. Next, as you've already seen, the admin account of M365 is already connected. To connect an account, it's quite easy. Click on Task List and click Create. Select Create a new backup task. As you can see here, you will need to fill out your M365 global admin credentials to build a connection. Next, let's use existing connection to demonstrate other management features. When the task is created, we can see the information of the global admin account. Beneath that is the option where you can enable the restoration portal, where employees can use to restore files. Now, the important question. How do we manage our backup task? Well, it's quite easy. First, by user. We can select individual users and its associated services such as OneDrive, SharePoint, Mail, etc. Second, is by group. We can group different users based on different characteristics or hierarchy. Groups associated services to be backed out can be customized as well. The next one is site, which corresponds to SharePoint site. After that is the auto discovery services. Let's say a new user is added to the M365. There's no need to add the new user manually and redo the setting. This account can be automatically detected and backed up. Lastly, policy allows you to run customized schedule and set retention policy for desired multi-versioning practices. That's it for the task settings. As for file restoration, once we log into the self-restoration portal, we can select which user to restore and what type of services to restore. Let's use Mail as an example. The interface looks quite familiar to most mail services, where the left side shows the mailbox and the right side shows the emails. We can double-click to preview, and on the bottom, you can see the timeline. We can select the specific time for restoration. Also, on the upper right corner, there's a detailed search function to perform granular search. Say we want to export an email. Simply click on Email. Click Export button on the upper right corner, and there you go. You may find that you can save this email into an email file, EML file in your desired destination. Here is a quick overview of the services supported by ABM and ABG. For Microsoft 365, OneDrive, SharePoint, Exchange, and Microsoft Teams are well supported to a certain extent, whereas for Google Workspace, MyDrive and Shared Drives, Gmail, contact information, and calendar events are also supported. This includes my sharing on SaaS data protections. With endpoint and SaaS protections, we have effortlessly, cost-effectively pulled the data into the NAS. And now we'll move on to our last chapter: NAS protection and recovery. Introducing Hyper Backup and Snapshot Replication. In a quick technical comparison of the two, Hyper Backup backs up folder, system settings, and software packages from your NAS to a wide range of destinations, whereas Snapshot Replication is a near instantaneous data protection package with enhanced RTO and RPO. It can only be paired with another Synology NAS. It ensures business continuity with the Snapshot technology. Let's begin with Hyper Backup. You have the flexibility to choose various of backup destinations, such as Synology NAS, Synology C2 clouds, public clouds, and rsync servers. It supports system configuration and application backup with military-grade encryption, cross-platform deduplication, and change block tracking. To keep the backup configuration as simple and powerful as possible, several backup options are available as Hyper Backup supports customized scheduling, multi-versioning, and flexible backup rotation policies that keep the most up-to-date backup versions. On the other hand, Snapshot Replication provides schedulable, near instantaneous data protection, ensuring business data in shared folders and virtual machines in as-LANs remain safe and available in the event of disasters. Snapshots are taken as frequently as 5 minutes for shared folders, with at most 1,024 copies, and 15 minutes for as-LANs, with at most 256 copies. Important thing to know here: Snapshot is only supported on BTRFS file system. So, you may wonder, how come the snapshots that are being saved on the same NAS as your file server will not be affected by ransomware encryptions? By default, Synology snapshot cannot be viewed via SYNBA connection, SMB connection. Even if we enable to make snapshot visible option in the setting, these snapshots are still read-only, even for the system admin. If you try to delete the snapshot files from Windows File Explorer, an error message will pop up. In short, these snapshots are impossible to be altered, nor to be encrypted, not even for the system admin. Another commonly utilized practice for snapshot replication is to replicate snapshots to a NAS in a remote location. In case the production server goes down, all files and documents may be retrieved and accessed via service failover. Test failovers for replication tests can also be performed to ensure that the recovery process works as expected in the event of a disaster. Before we conclude, I'd like to share a grand case study where our customer has used all the backup solutions that we mentioned today. Our customer is a bank in Poland, specializing in helping newcomers to develop small to medium-sized businesses by offering financial services. They have 1,000 employees across 26 branches. Idea Bank is legally required to keep backups of all operations, including emails and Microsoft SharePoint data. Here are some of their common headaches: backing up massive accounts for Microsoft 365 while keeping the cost down, backing up over hundreds of employees' PCs, workstations, and centralize their backups, immediate recovery to workstations due to hardware failures and other faults. I would not surprise if some of you has come across these common issues too. Now, let's take a look at how Synology solutions can help to smooth out these challenges. Step 1. After choosing the NAS based on the needed capacity, we'll begin by setting up endpoint protections. To do this, we need to pull the data from the workstations into the NAS. The user has selected 2 rack servers, installed Active Backup for Business, and set backups of their PCs and virtual machines. One-time setup. In addition to data backup, they have configured bare metal backups, and this proved to be exactly the time-saving solutions they were looking for. Applications can be restored to their original configurations, and computers are ready to use as soon as they are restored. Employees no longer needed to reconfigure applications or search for individual files after recovery. Step 2. After endpoint protections, it's time that we cover SaaS data protections. Idea Bank has more than 1,000 Microsoft 365 user accounts and 512 Microsoft SharePoint sites. Instead of backing up to the same NAS, they have distributed the load and balanced the risk by separating the backup of SaaS data to different rack units. With ABM, they protected over 1,000 user accounts and 727 sites. Personal and shared data from Microsoft accounts and mailboxes are backed up and archived along with their respective folders, structures, and attachments. The bank also uses the account discovery option to detect new users and automatically add them to backup tasks, reducing the need for manual configurations. Step 3, our last step. Once we have pulled the data into the NAS through Active Backup Suite, it is time to add a layer of redundancy. They have the choice of hybrid backup and snapshot replications. Idea Bank uses snapshot replication to regularly back up each of their rack to another. This way, even when the primary backup destination is unavailable, backups can always be accessed and restored from the other device, maximizing service availability. Should Idea Bank decide to add an extra layer of protection for their backups, they have hybrid backup at their disposal. By doing so, they have multiple copies of their backups, following the well-known 3-2-1 backup practice. 3 copies of data on at least 2 devices and 1 offsite location. The reason why we choose this case study is because it shares many common issues that many companies faces today. Heavy and ongoing licensing costs, different backup software, no centralization, and more. I hope through this case study, you can see just how easy and cost-saving Synology's backup can offer you. Let me do a quick recap on today's points. From endpoint protection to SaaS data protections, you have Active Backup Suite. And once you have pulled the data to your NAS, you have NAS protection through hybrid backup and snapshot replication. Through all this, you have a complete backup bubble. Above all, no licensing fee is required. Synology wants to ensure that after implementing the mentioned solutions, users may not only benefit from the well-integrated solutions, but also be certain that threats of losing crucial business data will no longer be in the back of their minds. After all, as demonstrated, Synology backup solutions provide companies with secure, comprehensive, and intelligent backup features, efficient and modernized restorations, and most importantly, extreme cost saving. This concludes my webinar. I hope the information we've shared today is useful to you. Keep your data safe, keep your business safe, and keep your company safe. If you have any questions regarding today's information, please leave your questions in the chat box. Our specialists will attend to them as soon as possible. Thanks again for joining us. Hope to see you again sometime soon. Goodbye for now.